While officers say it may seem helpful to look for your registration in your glove box or reach into your center console for your wallet, they say they don't actually know what you're reaching for, so it's best to keep your hands on the steering wheel. Many properties in this area simply are not up to code. Take a look with me. Here you see some overgrown grass, lots of debris in this particular yard. Right now, we want to know why they're closing these public health resources, what's happening to their patients as they work to find them alternative treatment, also what's happening to the staff members and employees here. The Louisiana Office of Alcohol and Tobacco Control, they released this 4-page advisory. Pretty much it tells business owners to remove those products from the shelf. They were initially attacking this from about 3 different perspectives, but now even this last fire truck here to my right, no water coming off of it. They only have 2 water sources now. Right now you can still smell the smoke out here. Now it's not as hazy as it was. It was a thick cloud of smoke. If you'll take a look here, you see how the water is still covering the sidewalk, but if you'll actually look along this line, let me pan over just a bit so you all can have a clear picture. If you'll see, there's a line right here in this particular area. This is how high that water was initially when the rain first started. Now, I want you guys at home to take a look. If you'll notice, there's a motorcycle just here off of the Red River, and it meets the description of this situation. Seeing blue lights behind you is an unnerving experience. Even now, for almost everyone. And I know because I was recently stopped for speeding. With all of the headline-making stories involving traffic stops gone bad, it prompts a lot of people to videotape the exchange. During my encounter, I texted a friend to let them know I had been pulled over, just in case anything happened. So this morning, we're aiming to arm you with information and tell you what to expect to lessen any anxiety that comes from a traffic stop. And just a word of caution, you might find some of this video disturbing.
Kind of thing you have to be prepared for on any stop.
It's far from another day in the neighborhood.
But it is always an unknown scenario. You know who you are. We don't know who you are.
What looks like a typical traffic stop to us can quickly take a different turn for law enforcement.
I had a couple stops that the driver jumped out while the car was still rolling. Some of our other officers have had weapons drawn on them on traffic stops, and we've had officers that were shot at.
99% of the time, folks who are stopped for traffic violations are people just like you and I, everyday people who are just going a little too fast.
But officers simply don't know. So make it easy for them to peg you as someone who's usually above board. When you see those blue lights behind you, immediately pull over to the right. If there's a parking lot near, stop there. Turn your music off. Roll down your window, and if it's at night, turn on your interior lights. Then wait. While officers say it may seem helpful to look for your registration in your glove box or reach into your center console for your wallet, they say they don't actually know what you're reaching for, so it's best to keep your hands on the steering wheel. The vast majority of officers are good people. They're who we call to protect us when we're scared or when we need help, and they respond. They quickly come to our defense. But as we've seen here recently, every encounter isn't a cakewalk.
Step out of the car.
You do not have the right to do that.
I do have the right. Now step.
This is cell phone video released a few weeks ago from the infamous Sandra Bland case. It shows the heated exchange where she was arrested during this traffic stop in Waller County, Texas, back in July of 2015. As demonstrated here, sometimes police interactions can become controversial. However, they are the authority over you and the traffic stop.
The police officer is well within the law and within their rights to require that the people get out of the car, to require that the people remain in the car, that the people comply with their lawful orders because they're detained.
It's definitely frustrating for some, wondering what you did wrong. But officers are not required to tell you why they've stopped you.
They're authorized to conduct an investigation. So they're not necessarily required to say, I'm Trooper so-and-so, the reason I stopped you is because you were speeding.
And that lack of knowledge may put some people on edge. At that point, stay cool. You're even at liberty to create your own safety net by filming on your phone, as long as it doesn't interfere with the traffic investigation.
I have a right to record. This is my property.
Under the United States Constitution and our laws, you have the right to basically record things in public. So the general rule, I would think, would be that certainly that you got the right to have your cell phone recording.
But regardless of your rights, whether you broke the law, if your attitude isn't the best, or if the policeman isn't polite, always do what officers say to prevent confrontation.
None of it's worth the police officer getting hurt or the citizens getting hurt. The bottom line is, as a society, that we all need to start treating each other with more respect and with manners.
I think that is the best tip throughout that whole piece, respect. Now, officers are trained to defuse situations by always remaining calm, and District Attorney Philip Terrell says a person can always file a complaint with the proper departments if a situation is handled poorly by an officer. But again, always remain mild-tempered and follow any orders given.
I had all these opportunities. Whenever I worked for the state and working with the independent living skills, I learned that not every kid has that.
Tet Rogers knows exactly what it's like to be in child and foster care because she was. She was lucky to land in a supportive home. It's what prompted her to begin advocating for foster youth when she aged out of the system. She now works as a consultant for a national youth and transition team. But the same can't be said for the vast majority in state care. That's why an extended foster care bill was introduced this legislative session and is currently on its way to the full Senate. We take a look at its necessity in this special report.
She was very abusive, she was very neglectful, she was emotionally abusive.
While she may appear refined, fortunate even, the pain of that misery still lingers.
I would say those are some, the worst 3 years of my life.
This is Tet's story, but it's an all too familiar tale for the 4,500 children in state foster care. They brave constant hurt from abuse, poverty, and addiction from the same people who should be providers and protectors. And if that isn't enough, the system is failing youth as they age out.
So many of these children have been in difficult circumstances. They're not prepared like perhaps my children or your children.
So the odds of success for these teens are more like a crapshoot. Tet and her brother were separated from their parents when she was 10. And continuing their string of misfortune, the two were sent to live with an aunt where Tet often endured emotional torment.
All I wanted to do was to get away from her.
Foster care was her saving grace, her second chance, but one of the first times she ever felt comfortable feeling vulnerable with her keeper.
We kind of got to get our lives back and had another opportunity to be normal and be kids again.
But a nurturing environment isn't always afforded. As kids complete high school and embrace life on their own, some lack common skills like driving or struggle to find housing. Many blindly manage to make their next moves.
These children are our children. They're the whole state's children. They're not just DCFS children.
The state is now stepping up and hoping to provide more advantage for these kids. SB 109 aims to create an extended foster care system for youth ages 18 to 21.
And there are very, very few young people at the age of 18 that are ready to just independently decide, I can do all this research, I can figure all this out, I can do all these loan applications, I can figure out what I'm eligible for or not, all by themselves.
But it comes at a cost, a price tag of more than $11.6 million over 5 years.
I know of no specific opposition that's being voiced. There is an overall concern for everything that's being spent and appropriated.
Lawmakers and advocates are both weighing its worth. While they see the value in the program, they also don't want to create another dependency.
We can keep extending it, but if we're not preparing them properly, then we're just going to have to keep extending it.
Andrea Finney, News Channel 5, your local station. On the flip side, when it comes to funding extended foster care programs, there is the argument that states are simply reallocating government funds to support these youth in a prosperous way. The Annie E. Casey Foundation reports in 2013, on average, for every young person who ages out of the system at 18, communities will pay $300,000 in social costs over that person's lifetime. Now, social costs equal taxpayer-funded programs like government assistance and incarceration, but it also includes wages lost as a result of dropping out of high school. Some additional facts as teens age out of foster care. These are according to the National Foster Youth Institute. 20% will instantly become homeless. There is a less than 3% chance for these youth to earn a college degree at any point in their life. 7 out of 10 girls will become pregnant before turning 21. 75% of women, 33% of men receive government benefits to meet basic needs. And 1 out of every 2 kids will develop a substance dependence. More than 23,000 children will age out of the U.S. foster care system each year. Sharon?
Wow.
Many properties in this area simply are not up to code. Take a look with me. Here you see some overgrown grass, lots of debris in this particular yard. In some cases, you see inoperable vehicles in driveways, homes that have been badly burned, even abandoned like this particular one. Doesn't exactly promote economic development for neighborhoods. So now local officials are looking to tackle this issue. The city of Pineville has its eyes on eyesores.
Ultimately, it's not to go in and demolish homes. It's to get the area back up and working.
By restoring downtown, the city's oldest section, while also boosting property value.
We've talked about activity, breeding activity all along. People are going to come in and say, well, you know what, there's things going on in this town, then we want to put our business here and we want to relocate our business here. And main streets are falling victim to that, I guess, lack of interest.
So officials are now targeting blighted property, and they have their sights set on dilapidated homes.
Now, if it's a hazard, if it's been burned, if there's something like that, they can go in for safety-wise. But if it's a home that's just, that is deteriorating, falling away, there's a process for it.
And it could be a long one. While neighbors may want old homes demolished in a hurry, the city has to take these steps. First, they must identify the property's code violations. Next, they search tax records to find the land's owner. Then the process goes 2 ways.
Somebody may own the home and they may not have any heirs or anybody that's involved in that property, and so it's just an abandoned house with nobody to take care of it.
Then it becomes adjudicated property for the city to care for, demolish, or sell. On the other hand, if it does have an owner, they contact the proprietor and serve a just cause. That document says the city believes this home should be condemned and they want you to provide a reason why it shouldn't. You then appear at a city council meeting.
And the citizens are starting to do that. They're starting to say, you know what, I want to put this back in because I don't want to see it torn down. And so they're making steps and plans of action to go ahead and fix that up.
Well, if that person is a no-show at the city council meeting or does not contact the city of Pineville, they'll then come in and knock down those houses after 30 days. And those condemned or adjudicated properties then become well-groomed lots like this one, making them much more attractive to residents, neighbors, and businesses within the area. Reporting in Pineville, Andrea Finney, News Channel 5, your local station. Well, state governments are working to improve the accuracy of reporting qualifications in government programs. The Louisiana Legislative Auditor sampled the Medicaid expansion population. Those are adults in single households. They looked at top earners appearing to be overqualified for Medicaid. Well, the vast majority should not have received some or all of their benefits. It's what's prompting the Louisiana Department of Health to now use federal tax data to verify eligibility for Medicaid.
The results for me were stunning. They were breathtaking.
82% of them did not qualify for roughly half of the benefits they received,
costing the state about $85 million. Well, in November, U.S. Senator John Kennedy filed the Income Verification Act of 2018. It's to reduce fraud in taxpayer-funded government assistance programs.
I happen to believe that most people try to tell the truth, but you always have some folks who are gaming the system.
It requires states to use federal tax information to verify income eligibility.
The use of federal tax information is absolutely imperative to determine a person's true income, or the best picture you can get of a true income.
Well, as of Monday, the verification is being implemented at the state level. Previously, the Department of Health relied on the Workforce Commission database and the integrity of applicants.
Workforce Commission data does not include things like rents and royalty or self-employment income or retirement incomes, and there's some other incomes.
But they are more than likely listed on a person's tax return.
Most people don't try to cheat on their federal taxes. And if they would just demonstrate a modicum of effort, they would find out that we have some people who are just committing fraud.
The Louisiana Legislative Auditor says the move is a step in the right direction, but this is just one solution for one issue of a much larger problem.
individuals they're deemed eligible, but then they can go back to work and begin making an income.
And that money isn't reported until a person's annual renewal date. The Department of Health only verifies income once a year, so a person could receive free health care for months but not qualify. So more audits are needed.
I think all 50 states ought to be checking continuously. Quarterly is acceptable, but it ought to be continuously.
It's to prevent overspending on people who don't meet the need. Andrea Finney, News Channel 5, your local station. Well, the newest report released Monday by the legislative auditor uncovered even more waste. They sampled individuals who were deemed eligible or renewed benefits between July 2017 and February 2018. Officials found the Department of Health approved about 8% of people who do not qualify for Medicaid. So now a new automated system will be put into place to minimize human error and subjectivity. The legislative auditor says correcting these errors is estimated to save the state about $111 million a year.